My name is Joseph Redwood-Martinez. I was invited together with Federica Bueti, who you will meet in about 30 minutes, to give a presentation today. And what did we title it? Necessary catastrophe, incomplete catastrophe, incomplete. So we had this with this title that has become, it has vanished before us, but it was an amalgamation of two separate projects that both Federica and I have been working on independently of one another. We've been doing things separately, and we found a point of contact that we thought it would be interesting to come into a context and, present things next to each other. So I wanted to start with a photo of a more glamorous version of where I grew up, which is the American suburbs. It's like an intestinal network of roads and homes that could really be anywhere. This could be Los Angeles, it could be Connecticut, it could be anything. This was one of the first places I went. I went to Ecuador, and I noticed this type of architecture, which, I mean, if you see in the last slide, just doesn't really fit in that setting. It was very perplexing to me. And I know now, of course, that this is actually quite ubiquitous. But it was kind of interesting for me, and specifically the way that we have in a structure indicated a different relationship to building as dwelling, and a different relationship to what a building represents in relation to time. So you can see here clearly this couple has their finished house living area on the ground floor. On the first floor, it looks a bit nicer actually. The windows are bigger, there's probably more space, it's a little airier. And then there's going to be something that happens up here. And I love this staircase that just kind of runs off into the tree. This is also another example of this architecture. So basically, I become interested in, maybe the nice way to say this is that Louis Kahn has a nice little quote that I'm going to completely rob out of context, which is a totally violent gesture, but he asked, Louis Kahn, architect, what does the building want to be? In looking at these structures and asking what does the building want to be, but also to kind of get a little deeper into this, like what do the people want to be in relation to this building wanting to be? And I'm curious now, increasingly, not only what does the building want to be, but how can we place this all in relationship to an understanding of a specific place? And how do we understand, or how do we get to know, get familiar with, how people develop some type of existential foothold in their reality in relationship to their wanting to come into being and the buildings wanting to come into being? One way that I do this is to go places and to do some type of field work and start talking to people about these structures, and to start talking to them about what they're doing in their life, what's interesting to them, what organizations they're involved with, what people they're working with. So what I wanted to share with you shortly today would be two videos that I've created that I put together when I was in Haiti.
I think that there's this misconception that people can go somewhere to a community. I've been to quite a few, and oftentimes people go to these communities trying to escape their old life, but the problems just follow. And that's what I think that we do here is what I do here. What I like to think that I do here is that I'm helping to create a new world. I know that maybe it sounds arrogant or conceited, I'm not sure, but I think that's one of the things that I do here.
This is in Haiti, which is in the very southern part of the island, in a small town called Ansapi. Ansapi is like the last place anyone wants to. It's totally unsexy. It's in the desert. The Haitians refer to it as the Bukhara, which in Haitian Creole means the wasteland. And this is where this community is. I found it very interesting. They believe in this idea of free economy, gift economy. They don't use money. They're just kind of living in this deliriously optimistic space in one of the most tragic geopolitical places on Earth. So I show one more video.
Maybe we can start by pretending you're not there.
Yeah.
Because you are making a sit in awkward position. Let's begin with home.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's begin with Dia Sospoa and growing up in the States, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can tell you, I think that's something we're really good at in Haiti. Like, just
moving past the problems.
No, just always greeting each other. I don't know. Moving past the problems. Yeah, that too. Yeah, like having the grits. But do you ever think about why that is? Yeah, almost like pride, no?
Mm-hmm.
The village of Ansapi looks. You can kind of see the typical architecture after the earthquake that of course was completely devastating in Haiti. You're seeing an increasing amount of concrete construction with rebar. This interesting thing popped up in Ansapi. I came across it one day when I was just walking through the village and talked to the people around, and I said, well, what is this? And they told me that this is their public square, because every great city or town of course has to have a public square. And I said, oh, well, sure, I guess. I don't really know. I mean, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. We don't have this, but sure. In Europe, I guess, yeah, they do. And they said, and a public square always has a monument. It always has a statue or the sculpture. So that's what they did here. They used some of the cement that was around, and they put up this column. And I said, okay, well, is there an artist? There are a lot of artists actually in this area of Haiti. I said, is there an artist who's going to put a sculpture on top, or are you guys working on a statue or something? And they said, oh, no. Whenever we talked about the statue or the thing to top it off, we always got into a fight. And we could never agree on any Haitian that we thought was good enough to put up on there. But they said, the day will come, the person will come, and that's where they go, and they have a place. We have a place for them. So this is there in Mozambique.
It's the crisis is the mode of neoliberal economy. It's the mode of functioning of this capitalist society. Crisis and catastrophe as a rupture. When the crisis is the normal state of things, how we deal with that. And does it change anything when we are in this crisis? The rupture, does it really change anything in the reality, in the way we live? I don't know. There is an economy of the event of crisis. So the crisis can become a very kind of fruitful, you can capitalize on crisis. I create this anxiety, as it has happened with in Europe and in the States. In the media were kind of delivering this constant sense of tragedy, but in fact, in the everyday life was definitely different. So basically, yes, there is a crisis, so you need to act immediately. So it's everything about short term. We need to do something immediately. We don't have any time to think. We don't have any time to plan. But it's all about short term decision, which in fact changed nothing, basically. We are still having the same politician. We are still having the same, more or less, form of governance. We kept with the banks system the way it is. It's just a small, very, very small intervention. That the catastrophe can produce a moment of uncertainty. And so in this moment, in this rupture, you can finally apply a neoliberal, kind of extreme neoliberal economy. It pushed the economy, but at the same time destroy and fragment the social perspective of David Arvid was describing in the 50s, what happened in the 50s in the States, the moment of a crisis is the moment in which basically in the States you have this kind of massive, huge urban development.
What's happened since 1945 in the United States is the United States has got out of depression, recession conditions by building houses and filling them with things. And it's done it through suburbanization and the like. Now, where did this crisis we're in come from? It came from a subprime crisis in housing, but it's also an indicator that the suburban solution to absorbing surplus capital, which has been going on for the last 50, 60 years, has probably reached an end point in the United States, and we can't do that anymore. We cannot get out of this crisis in the United States by building more houses and filling them with more things. It's not working that way. So there's a very, very strong relationship between, if you like, the health of an economy and the dynamics of urbanization. And when the dynamics of urbanization go bad, then the economy goes down. And we've had a lot of evidence of that over the last 20 or 30 years.
Kind of a good example in this site in Palestine, I don't know if you know, there is this they're building a new city which is called Rawabi. And that's quite interesting. It's an entirely like new city. This guy is completely, I don't know, out of his mind, and he wants to build this new, this huge city in Palestine, and it will be the first planned city. But it's a quite interesting example, I think, precisely of this idea of, okay, the crisis, yes, there is a crisis, and then immediately you have this housing boom, real estate building, because you need to keep things, you need to keep the economy running, so you need investment, and you need to create debt. So you start building something, you indebt yourself, but at the same time you produce work and future, you invest and future money. Short-term solution. Because once the city is completed, when you build a new city, how many new cities do you want to build? I mean, at some point, okay, you saturate the market, you saturate the land. So, and we are again at the same point of ever. So we get, in the moment of crisis, in the moment of catastrophe, you get, of course, the hero who will save the world from the crisis, in this case, I don't know, economists or the people who are going to fix the situation, and the anti-hero who has produced the crisis, which is a very kind of a binary understanding of kind of society, so good or bad, black and white, and you cannot escape this division, you cannot escape this kind of dichotomic thinking. But in particular here, I'm interested in the figure of Antigone, that Antigone wants to bury her brother, but of course the law doesn't allow them to do that. The king of Thebes warned Antigone, saying you can't do that because otherwise you will be destined to death, because this goes against the law of the city. But in what Antigone does is precisely to bury her brother, because she really believes in her family. She's attached. She's moved by love, and that's what she wants to do. So she doesn't care at all about any kind of law. Because when I was in Ramallah, someone was arguing against my idea. No, but actually, because I was saying we don't need heroes. No, we don't need tragic heroes for changes. And they were saying, yeah, but actually probably we need heroes. Why are you saying that we don't need heroes, we need leaders? Yeah, probably. And then I start thinking, yeah, maybe we need leaders, but we need maybe someone who is charismatic, but that it can facilitate changes, but also able to withdraw or to kind of share the leadership with someone else. So I'm interested in understanding if this moment of crisis, if this moment of openness can produce something that is a collective form of action. So kind of, okay, create a new sense, a new solidarity. I don't know. That's something that I would like to kind of try to understand and further develop. And also what kind of temporal horizon might the state of crisis open up. Because exactly today we had this idea of the crisis that produced these short-term reforms. That is a kind of a sort of ejaculation. We have a crisis. Wow, we have the event, and then but what is happening? Are we gonna face the crisis? Are we gonna develop a long-term project? So I would be interested in understanding if a moment of crisis can really open a long-term horizon and start thinking in a kind of a long terms.